What's going on, guys? What can a 17-year-old magazine teach us still? Is it garbage? Should we just throw it away? It's from August 2006. It's garbage, right? No, we can still get something from it. And this is very interesting. I was I was cleaning out some stuff downstairs, and I was cleaning out some boxes, and I came across some of my older stuff because over the years I've saved a lot of stuff because um back before we had phones where we can just, if you find a quote or you find something, you can screenshot it. This is back before we had we had cell phones, but we didn't have the cell phones that we have now, right? This is when we had the old flip phones. So I saved a lot of my stuff. I would print a lot of stuff out, like for my computer, and I would save magazines, save. I've always read a lot of books. And this is an interesting from if you guys read Scientific American. If you don't, and it's weird because I feel like magazine readership is probably way down nowadays. And I think it's because I know, like, for myself, I've always read a lot of magazines, had a lot of magazine subscriptions. And then what happened is I subscribed to Apple, what's it called, like Apple News, and it's like $10 or $20 a month, and you can get like all these subscriptions, which is cool because now I sound like I swear to God, I'm not advertising this. I'm not, obviously I'm not getting paid. So Apple's not gonna pay me. They're like, all right, Paul's got 5 subscribers. Let's back up the Brinks truck for him and have him advertise our product. Now I don't think that's happening. Okay. But anyways, they'll have like Men's Health. They have I think they have Scientific American. They have actually, not I think, I know they have Scientific American. They have like the LA Times. They have all this stuff. People Magazine, Newsweek magazine, or not Newsweek. Yeah, they have Newsweek, but I'm thinking of the other gossip magazine, whatever. Anyways, they have all these magazines, right? And so I'm like, great. Instead of spending a couple $100 a month buying magazine subscriptions, I'm gonna do the $20 a month, and I got all these subscriptions, and it's legit. Like, you get the magazines, it's right on your iPad and whatever. Here's the problem. For me, I don't read them that much on my iPad. I still like the old physical. Maybe I'm showing my age. I'm gonna be 45 in a couple of weeks, but I like the old physical magazines. It's what I'm used to. That's what I grew up on. That's what I, got used to. But I mean, I still use them on my iPad. But here's the thing. So, anyways, so we don't have a lot of physical magazines now. We have them on our iPad. So you don't save them. But anyways, I'm going through this, and this is really interesting because obviously it's secrets of the expert mind, and you think that a lot of these young geniuses are just gifted. Now, I'll tell you, here's a spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. They talk about that experts aren't naturally born, they're made, right? Now I have a slightly different. Now here's it. Okay. Let me back up for a second. They're going by a lot of research on this. Okay, so now I'm gonna say, okay, here's the research, but I'm gonna give my opinion. Okay, the research is showing that it's hard work behind it. It's people who diligently practice, people who diligently work for years and years and years every single day. That's how they become the experts. Even they talked about young, who was it, Mozart or Beethoven, whatever one that it was. I think it was Mozart that was real young. That I think his father was like a classical musician and would play music for him when he was really young, and then he played the piano, was taught the piano, and then by the time he was like 11 years old, he's creating these pieces of music that have lasted what, a century or whatever it was. But even though he was young when he did it, he was still practicing that for several years before, which is actually really interesting. I have a slightly different take. I do think that there's people with natural ability, and actually they acknowledge that too. They do acknowledge that some people do have natural abilities, but it's the work that you put behind the natural abilities, because I think we all have natural gifts to begin with, and it depends what yours is or what mine is. And some people have natural gifts that maybe are more easily translated into money. Obviously, like for example, if you're LeBron James and you're 6'8", 250, and could run and jump like the wind, that's an easy translatable skill that makes a lot of money. Like Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, he's 7'1", 300 pounds, but yet he runs like he's super athletic. So that's a skill that translates into a lot of cash, as opposed to maybe your skill is you've got a good memory. I've got a memory I always tell my wife I've got a memory like a like a cricket. I have a bad memory, but maybe you have an excellent memory. Well, that's a good natural quality, but that's a little bit harder to translate into cash as opposed to Shaq or LeBron. But anyways, it's interesting because if we work harder, again, this is interesting because this is just something I just talked about just the other day, is that it's doing it every day. Doing whatever you're working on, it is doing it every day, not once a week, not once a month, not every other day, not 4 days in a row, take 2 days off. It's doing it every single day. And that's how we get ahead. That's how we break that barrier from becoming average to being above average, from being schmucks like I was a schmuck, to accomplishing something. And that's it's just the doing it every day, guys, when no one else either A, believes in you, and that's okay, or doing it every day when no one sees it. I always say, we'll wrap it on this. I always talk about, when I was coming up, and I'm still coming up. I'm still coming up. I still got a lot of goals that I'm working on. But I came up from being a schmuck to being respectable. I guess what I'd say. When I was coming up, when I was still like down, I was working every day, and I saw things. I saw what I was doing, but yet from the outside looking in, I realized at the time I thought, I guess I didn't really think about it, but looking back, I remember when when we moved out of our old neighborhood, moved into, a nice new house and all that. And, people were shocked, and I said to my wife, I'm like, I don't understand why, like, this is such a shock to everyone. I mean, I've always, for the last 10 years, I don't talk about it like what I do, like with people, like as far as income and all that. I'm very, ironically, I'm very private. But one thing I've always been very open about is I've been very open about working hard, that I work hard. And I think that's probably because that's been my only skill. Like my only, like, I guess I don't have like natural abilities. Like when I first started out, I'm like, okay, I don't have, all these advantages. I don't have, family money. I don't have family connections. I don't have an education. I don't have, like these great skills. I don't have anything. Like, and I'm not saying it to be negative, so understand that I'm not being negative. I'm not being like, what's that other thing, like I hate when people do like the thing when like someone's like super talented, they're like, oh, I have no talent, blah blah blah. I'm not saying like that. Understand, because there's a lot of things I developed in myself, but one thing the only thing I can lean on is, I said, okay, the only thing I can control, like, I don't have an education. I don't have a formal education. I don't have, all these other things. But one thing I can control is I can work hard. Right? So maybe you and I are competing and you got all these advantages, but one thing I know I can compete and, I guess, level the playing field and maybe take an advantage is I will work harder. I'll work harder. I'll make more phone calls. I will work later. I will do more. I will mail more things. I will talk to more people. I will make more connections. Whatever it might be, I'll read more books. I'll study it more. While people are out goofing around, I will break open a book and I will read it. I'll grab one off my bookshelf and I'll read it. I'll do all these things. So I say to my wife, I'm like, when we first kind of moved out, got away from everything, and moved up, and in the world, I couldn't understand. I'm like, I don't understand why everyone's so surprised, because I knew I was working hard, and I never made it, like I said, I never um hid the fact that I work very hard. Like, I don't take a day off. I just don't take a day off. I work every single day. If I'm sick, if I got a sore throat, if I'm tired, if I'm burned out, if all hell's going, I've been many days where, all hell's breaking loose. Um, Everything's just going to shit. Okay. I still work. But anyways, then one day I was looking through my phone at some like old pictures. I think I switched my phone or switched my iPad, whatever it was. And so, like if you scroll through your, like when you're downloading, like when you get a new iPhone, or a new iPad, and then you're logging into your whatever, like iCloud account or your Apple account, whatever it is, and then you'll get all these pictures, that were on all your other devices. And I started looking through these, from the last, 10 years, from 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I guess I can understand why people didn't think I was going anywhere, because you see our house, and you see, the clothes that our kids had, and like we didn't have anything, and and so my point is this, and again, I'm not saying this like in a like to brag or anything like that. I'm telling you this because people are not going to see all the work you put in, and they don't have to see all the work you put in, and they probably don't care to see the work you put in. But you got to put in the work, and if you put in the work, you'll get something out. So, and that's why, just going back to what we're talking about with the magazine, you could be an expert. You don't have to be an expert, but you could be. You could be really good at what you're doing, but you put in the work every single day, guys. Every single day. And we'll wrap it at that.